All right, so now, everyone, you're welcome to our first coding session. And today we are actually going to look at, can you guys see my screen very well? I hope you can only see the presentation, right? Okay, so as I said, today we are going to be looking at version control. So allow me to actually also put off my video. So, all right, so I just wanted to have an entire screen. So as I said, today we are going to be looking at version control. And this is something we are going to use in our daily work. And to most of you guys, this is very new. And to the others, you already know this. And please let us not confuse it with GitHub. So there is Git and there is also GitHub. We'll actually come to the differences. So we are mainly going to focus on introduction to version control, key features of Git as one of the examples or the tools of version control, setting up a Git repository, collaboration using Git, and we're also going to look at some advanced Git features, and we're also going to see Git in actions. So the last two, the seventh one is actually going to be PM tools. We already talked about it. We're not going to go deep into it. So PM tools is actually project management tools. And the tool we are going to mainly use is Trello. The reason why we chose Trello, it is because it is entirely free for you to use. Otherwise, other tools, some of them are, they actually charge you some money, and others are not good looking, like Pivotal Track. I don't really like using Pivotal Track. I prefer using Trello because it has everything we need. So let's start with understanding what is a version control. So most of the people actually confuse it and end up saying control version. I don't know why, but sometimes it also sounds like the best arrangement for me, control version rather than version control. But the proper way, it's version control. So version controls, these are tools we do install in our computers aimed to do certain tasks. So first of all, a version control tool or system allows us to record changes to a file or set of files over time. So take this as something that is actually going to save your information or your files or your folders in different times. So let's say you just took an hour doing your programming and you want to save a screenshot or snapshot. So let's use a snapshot of the work you just worked on within that 1 hour. So you can use a version control to save it. And after also working another 1 hour, you can as well save it. And you can always go back to the first one you saved for the 1 hour, and you can also again move next to the last one you just saved. So another thing for version control, it allows multiple people to work on a project simultaneously. So as I said, we are going to have some of the team projects, and you're actually going to be collaborating with your colleagues. So you're going to be using version control to interact with each other. Everyone is going to be doing their work, use a version control, and be able to push it on our central repository, which is GitHub, and then others can also contribute theirs. So we shall look into that slowly by slowly. We can't actually go through all of that by today. It's a process. So version control helps to prevent conflict when merging changes. The good thing I love about programming, it actually uses some of the terminologies we are used in our communities. Everyone knows what a conflict is. So even in coding, we do have what we call conflicts. So if your codes are not actually working together or working as expected, or actually showing a difference with the other codes, that means there is a conflict. So that is what we call a conflict in code. You will get used to the term when you start actually getting the conflicts. As of now, you haven't yet met any conflict so far. So version control, as we said, it also allows people or multiple people to work on the same project without interfering with each one's work. It keeps a history, as we started with an introduction about it. So it just keeps a history with storing certain snapshots of a certain period of time. It as well helps to resolve conflicts. So it can prevent conflicts, it can track conflicts, but again, it can also resolve those conflicts. So all these definitions, we shall actually get to use them and see how they work in real world. So why do we need to use a version control? You already know this, most of you, as we just introduced it. So for collaboration purposes, for tracking changes, for conflict prevention, for auditing, you need to audit if your code is actually in order or if your code doesn't have any conflict. So again, it is efficient and secure. And again, for backup, as we said, it stores some snapshots or some data for a certain periods. For certain periods. So let me hope you understand what a snapshot is in this case. So as we just introduced version control in just simple words, then let's see how version control usually works. So there are three things involved. There is what we call a local repository. So a local repository, these are codes or files. Let's not even use codes as of now. These are files on your local computer, your laptop right there, the laptop you have, whatever is there, it's what we call a local repository. It's a folder on your computer. That is what we call local repository. And the central repository, this is a storage or a folder that can be accessed by multiple people. So if that thing can be accessed by multiple people, it means it has to be stored somewhere on the cloud. It needs to be hosted somewhere. The same way, if we want to provide access to more people, we need to upload something online. So understand the central repository as a folder that is stored in the cloud and can be accessed by more than one people through different ways, through downloading it and through sharing the link. And there is also a third thing called a command line. So a command line, or as some people call it, command line interface. So this is a set of tools or set of commands which can be used to interact with a certain thing. Let's not even just restrict it to assets, anything. As long as you can interact it through a command, and that thing where you can write your commands is called a command line tool. So every computer has a command line tool. For Windows computer, for those who are using Windows computer, you have what we call, how do we call it, CMD. If you just write in your search CMD, it actually comes. So a command prompt, it will show up. And for those who are using MacBooks, it's terminal. So every computer has a tool built in that they can use to actually write in some of the commands. Now, some of the version control best practices are short and frequent commits, changes limited. So this one, you'll actually come to understand it later on when we know what a commit is, when we know what staging is, and so on. So we've been talking about version control, but remember our topic of today is Git. So what is the similarity between, or what is the relationship between Git and version control? So Git is one of the examples of version control. Git is not version control itself. If you say Git is version control, you're trying to mean that version control is the same as Git. No, 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 no. So Git is one of the examples of version control tools. There are so many other tools out here, but it is just that Git is very popular and it is widely used by a lot of people. And we're actually going to also use it. So Git is a popular, widely used version control system that has several key features. distributed version control, as we said, is just an example of version control tool, commit history or change history, branching and merging. It is very lightweight and open source, which means we can't pay any price for it. And it works with other central repository environments like GitHub, GitLab, and so many others. So please, now you understand what a central repository is and what GitHub is. So GitHub is a central repository. And the central repository just said it's a folder out there in the cloud that can be accessed by multiple people, right? So before now we continue to some of the commands, let me receive some questions in 5 minutes. Let's just take 5 minutes for asking. Please, if you have a question, ask. Anyone with a question so far? Okay, I think we are all good. I didn't see any hands up, so I think we are all good so far. But can you still hear me, guys? Let me also make sure that you can still hear me.
Yes, we are still here.
Okay, perfect. So now let's move on to how, as we saw that Git is very important to our daily programming life. Now, how do we install it in our computer? It's a tool, as we said. If it is a tool, it can be installed. The same way you install Microsoft Word on your computer, the same way you install any other software. So this is also a software that can be installed on your computer. So if you are on your computers, please go straight to this link. You don't need to actually cram this link. You can just go in your browser and just write in git download like this. You'll see this. I hope you can see my screen. So if you go to your browser and just write in git download, you just see it here and you click on it and you will see different operating system, macOS, Windows, and Linux. So you can download whatever that matches your type of computer you're using. On the right side, you will actually get a straight download that is compatible with your laptop. So you can please download it and install it like any other tool. Let's take 5 minutes of downloading it because we are going to interact with this. We are going to be interacting with this. So therefore, everyone needs to have it in their computer. For those who already have it, that is very perfect. But for those who haven't yet installed this, please download it. It's very lightweight. It doesn't has too much MBs. So it will be downloaded in a few seconds. Let's just take only 1 minute to have everyone download it. So as most of you are downloading it, I'll also be posing some of the questions to you guys. So my style of teaching is actually asking. So if you do not ask, for me, I get to ask you. So now let me get all right, so the first question will go to Kawanofisto. So please, whenever you're going to answer a question, start with an introduction of yourself. So Kawano, as we've been learning Git, and we saw the relation of Git and we haven't yet seen properly the relation of Git and GitHub. But what is Git and what is GitHub? This question goes to Kawano. You can unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, I'm Festo. I think the difference between Git and GitHub, GitHub is a version control which helps us to like audit like for collaborating with multiple user. Also, for Git, I think it's a help us to to use our GitHub, but I'm not sure for Git.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You actually tried and you did best. Thanks a lot for answering. So if I would arrange what you said in a proper way. So understand Git as a tool and understand GitHub as a storage. So
Yes, yes, yeah.
the tool that we are going to be interacting with within our code to actually save snapshots or changes for a certain period. And also we are going to be using it to actually be able to push on that central repository or that folder in the cloud, which can be accessed by multiple people. So Git is
Okay.
and GitHub is just a repository or a collection of repositories.
Yes, yes.
All right, so do we have now Git installed on our computers? If you're still installing it, please let us know. Are we all complete? Are we all done with installing? If you're not yet done, you can please raise your hand. Okay, I think everyone is done with installing. So please, now I hope we are going to move together. So because we are going to interact now with our Git. So to make sure now that you have installed your Git, so head to your terminal. So how do we open our terminal? As I said, you just head to your search. Mine, I'm using a MacBook, so for me, I will just write in terminal. But for those who are using Windows, you can just write in CMD. CMD, it will actually come up, or command. If you start typing command, it will just show up. And as well, without even actually using the command line, if you install Git, it comes with its own terminal. So, and let's use that one instead of the built-in terminal. Because the reason why we are going to use that one, for Windows users, there are some commands that you cannot use when you're using the built-in terminal. But with the Git shell, you can actually get to use all the commands. So can we just, can you just type for me? I'm actually going to continue using my terminal. So can you just write in Git shell? I probably think it's Git shell. Let me know if you actually get hold of it. For me, I'll continue using this one, but for you, you can just type in Git shell. Let me know if you have issues with opening it. Do we have, are we all able to open it?
Like this.
Check, check.
Yes, Agaba in the chat is saying he's still downloading the
Oh,
still downloading.
it's still downloading it. Okay. It's okay. So you can write in, it's probably Git shell or Git bash, something like that. Git bash. For those who are using Windows, for those who are using macOS, just use terminal, because for the macOS terminal, all the commands will work.
Yeah, mic check.
Check, check.
Yeah, I have a question. What's the difference between Git bash or PowerShell?
So yes, PowerShell is a built-in terminal to Windows computers. And Git bash, it's just a terminal that comes with Git. Once you install Git, it ships with it. Whenever you install Git, it actually comes with its own terminal. The reason for that, it's because some of the terminals in Windows are incompatible of actually using all the commands. And for the Git developers, they actually saw that it was necessary to include in the Git bash that, or the Git terminal that would be used to actually interact with all Git commands and even other commands related to computer, other terminal commands. So it's just a terminal, the same as PowerShell, but Git bash comes with Git. You cannot have it in your computer unless if you install Git. I hope I answered.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
All right, so are we all done with opening it? It's Git bash, I think. You should all be able to open it. So if you have opened it, now just write in Git version. It's Git, 2 hyphens, and then the word version. I also think Git -v should work. So for the full word, you just need to put there 2 hyphens, and for a shortcut, you just need to use -v. So we usually call this mic check. So every time you want to check for a version of a certain tool you already have in your computer or software, you can just use -- version. So if you want to check maybe Node, even though you haven't yet, if most of you don't know what Node is, you can do the same and you get a version of Node, right? So are we all being able to see the version of our Git? If you can't see this, it means you don't have it installed in your computer. Do we have anyone who haven't yet installed Git on their computer?
Mic check.
Check.
I think it's me, it's like at 90%. It's almost full, so that's why I'm not able to see.
Okay, do we have others? Others, are you okay with Git? Do you have it installed completely in your computer? Are you able to log it? Like if you do Git version, are you able to see the version of your Git? So you just need to write Git and 2 hyphens and then the word version. Usually this thing is called how do we call it? So -- version. So we actually most of the times use this if you want to print out the version of the software. So I just forgot the term we usually use. Okay, so we only have one person who haven't yet installed it on their computer. Okay, so let me hope, please let us know once you're done, and in case of any issue, also let us know. All right, so now let's continue. So once you see that you have Git on your computer, now we are going to see some of the commands we can use to interact with our Git. So some of the basic workflow of Git, you need to initialize a folder or a repository. You need to see a command of adding files. You need to see how we can commit files, and you need to see how we can push changes and how we can also pull changes others have made. and how we can do branching and as well as merging. So basically, this is the flow you're mainly going to use. Initialize a repository, because you can't use Git if you didn't initialize that repository. Then you need to add your files. Then after adding your files to Git, you need to commit them. Committing is like saving. And then after saving, you need to push them. If you have pushed them, somebody, or let's say a teammate, might need to pull them. That is when they're going to pull your changes. And we're also going to look at what is branching and what is merging, because branching and merging go together. If there are more than one branches, then it means you're probably going to have to merge two branches, right? So now, these are some of the basic commands. So we are going to go through these basic commands, and there are also other commands. But basically, by today, everyone should well understand these commands, right? So now, back to, let me first arrange my screens. If we go back to our terminal, you will need to use CD to your desktop. So as I said, we are going to be explaining everything. So if you're in your terminal, you really need to create a folder on your desktop or somewhere else, but I usually recommend you to create it on your desktop because that is where you're going to find it easily. So if you're on your root, then you need to just do cd desktop. What does cd mean? So this is just a basic terminal command whereby cd means change directory or change the path. Right now we are at the root, so we just want to change to the desktop. So you just do cd and then desktop. I just saw Taylor just did something like meeting questions with AI companion, I don't know, what is it? But it's okay. Okay, so now, cd to your desktop. Now change your directory and go to the desktop. Please let me know if you can do this, if this worked on your side. Were you able to change the directory to the desktop? Please let me know if you are able to change your directory to the desktop. If you are able, please just give a thumbs up, because I need to make sure that everyone understood this. Within your terminal, do cd, then desktop. I only see one thumb up from Tawfir. I can only see one. Does it mean that it's only one person who was able to cd to their desktop? I see now two. Please, if you're able to, can you just give a thumbs up if you're able to cd to your desktop? Yes, Josh. So it's only Josh and Tawfir as of now. Are you having any issues? Please unmute yourself and speak up. I can also see Salim was also able to CD. Mic check, Agawa. Yes, Kavano. Yes, Chris. So how about Agawa? How about Felix? How about Taylor? How about Elik?
It's done.
Mic check, Kagawa.
Done.
Were you able to send it to your desktop?
Yeah, sure.
Felix, were you able to send it to your desktop? Mic check, Felix.
Yes.
Okay.
Done.
So now if we are on our desktop, let's create a folder. Creating a folder, we use mkdir. So mkdir means make directory. So a directory is a folder. Do not take it as something else. It's just a folder. So, but it's a folder considered with a path from the root. So, but for now, just take it as a folder. So we are going to create a folder called full stack, like this, or you can just have it like this. Full stack and then dev, like this. So if you create it and you didn't get any errors, it means it is now on your desktop. If you want to see that it is on your desktop, you can use a command called ls. So ls lists all the folders and files on your desktop. For me, I have a lot of them on my desktop. There are some screenshots that are on my desktop, that is why. But if I move through them, I can see, let me just see full stack. Yes, you can see here it was actually created. I was able to log all the folders with just the use of ls. And for creating a folder, it's mkdir, then full stack. They've named the folder like that. Now, after creating your folder, you need now to change the directory into it. Now cd into your full stack. So just a quick tip, you can always start typing like the name of your folder and then hit tab on your keyboard. On our keyboard, we have a button called tab. It's the second one under escape. Every computer has it. So you can hit tab, it will do what we call autocomplete. So if it doesn't, it means you do not have a folder called so, or you just maybe misspelled it. So after seeding into it, we will see that now we are into full stack dev. Are we all there? Because we are about to use another command that is related to VS Code, and I'm very sure most of you jumped to that stage when you were installing VS Code on your computers. Because there is where they ask it if you want to include a code shortcut or code command with your VS Code, but it's okay. That will be an assignment for you to add it again. If you skipped it, you can always add it again, or you can always add it back. So are we all in our full stack folder? Please, now go check out please let us all be responsive. If you're left behind, please speak up. Silvio, we do not want to leave anyone behind because these things will affect you again in whatever we are going to advance it. Are we all in our full stack dev? If you have a question, please raise it. So now if we are in our full stack dev, we are going to just write code dot. I advise you to always be with a notebook to usually write some of these commands because we are not going to have a session of these commands. So this is something you can always teach yourself. You can always find on the internet so easily. So you can always write in terminal commands or basic commands to interact with the terminal. You can always get them. I will actually give you a cheat sheet for that. But this command, code space, it should have a space between. Dot. This means, first of all, code is a command of VS Code. It's a command of VS Code, which means if you do not have VS Code installed, it won't work. But again, having VS Code installed is not enough. You should include it when installing. Most of the people actually skip that when installing those because they don't even know what is it. So, but again, you can always add it after, even though you have already completed installing your VS Code. So code is a command for VS Code, and this dot means current. So code is a command of VS Code used to open a repository. So we are actually telling VS Code to open our current directory. A dot means current. You'll actually come across with a dot every time you'll be doing the development. So usually a dot means current directory. So we are telling VS Code to open our current directory. If I hit enter, you can see it actually opened the folder in my current repository. I mean, it opened the current repository, which was full stack. I think you can see it here. I have full stack here. Let me zoom in. I have full stack here. Are we all on the same page? So please use code space dot if you have changed your directory to full stack. You're already in full stack. Then do code space dot. This is actually going to open VS Code. And to be more specific, it is going to open that directory of full stack in VS Code. If it gave you an error, it means you skipped the code command when installing your VS Code. But do not worry, you will install it later. Right now, we are not going to do it on the call because I can't help everybody debug. But again, I'll give you a resource whereby you can use to actually add the code dot on in your VS Code. So if it gave you an error, let me show you an alternative of how you can do it. You come and you will open your VS Code manually. Let me close it. You will open your VS Code manually like this. And now you will come to your desktop. I hope you can see this. You come to your desktop, and now you need to come and drag and drop your folder. This is my folder. You just come and you just need to drag and drop it to your VS Code. This is going to be the same as opening it. So you can see I have it now in my VS Code. You can even actually also see it here. So if the code dot didn't work, then open your VS Code and drag and drop it there. Is everything clear now? All right, so if you have everything clear now, let us now try to use some of our commands. So we already have a repository now opened in our VS Code. And by the way, VS Code also has a terminal or a command prompt. You can always open it from up here, terminal. If you just click on new terminal, it will just come up like this, right? If you want to clear whatever you have in your terminal, you just need to use the word clear. If you're using the built-in terminal for Windows, clear won't work. But if you're using the Git bash, clear will work. If you're using the built-in terminal for Windows, CLS will only work for clearing your screen. But let's all be used to the Git bash because it allows you to use all the commands. So now, this is a terminal for VS Code. You can always interact with it. And for those who are having Windows, you can always change your terminal to Git bash. If you come here and just choose bash, for you, it will be Git bash. You can always choose that one to make sure, again, it allows all the commands. Is everything clear? Do we have any questions so far? If anyone has a question, please feel free to open your mic. All right, I guess there are no questions. So now, as we said, you can never use Git if you didn't have your repository initialized with Git. So this was our first command. This one initializes a new Git repository, right? So to initialize a Git repository, you need to do Git init when you're already in it, in that repository. So if you do Git init, it will initialize a Git repository. So if we hit enter, you can read these words as, let me just close this. It will say initialized empty Git repository. It will give you the whole path of your project. You can see the last one is full stack dev, because this is the folder we are in. So we have now initialized the Git repository with Git init. I'll again use the clear command to clear my screen. Right? So have we all initialized our Git repository with Git? To know that your Git repository was initialized, just type git status. If it doesn't give you an error, it means you initialized the Git repository. If it gives you an error, it means you didn't initialize the Git repository.
Done initializing.
It's initialized?
Yes.
All right. Anybody with a question? Anybody who didn't manage to initialize a Git repository? Please, guys, I hope silence means you understand it. Nikosa guceceka ibintu utabyumvishe, please.
Ask some questions.
In case you did not understand, please make sure you ask. I'm not going to be always the one asking questions. You should have a habit of asking. Asking is what gets you to learn. If you do not ask, you will remain what you already have in your head. You won't learn anything new. So if you did not understand, please feel free to ask. Ahanga to repeat. Nobody will sing of chabajiji. Nobody owes you an explanation of why do you ask. Silvio.
Check.
Actually,
Can you please explain again Git init?
yes. So if you're now in your VS Code, you will need to do Git init. And what Git init does, it initializes a new Git repository, which means for us to be able to interact with Git, we need to first of all tell it yes, we want you we are welcoming you in our project. Initializing is like welcoming Git tool in your project. If you did not initialize it or welcome it, it means you won't be able to use it. Right?
Okay, thank you.
So now if you do Git init, you will get a message of
Check.
initialized. Check.
Yes, on my side, I tried to execute it, but I got saying no commits yet.
I check, Agaba. I can't hear you well.
I'm saying I tried to get to Git in it, but
Yes.
they told me no commits yet. Then they showed me a list of untracked files.
Oh, are you sure you did Git init in the full stack, Dave?
I had to start full stack and I continued getting it. That's what I said.
If you can see in your terminal, are you able to see that you're in full stack, Dave? Try to see what I'm actually highlighting. Are you able to see that you're in full stack?
Yes.
Yes, and when you did Git init, what was the error? Or you're saying you did Git status?
Yeah.
So Git status actually gave you some of the uncommitted files, right?
Yes.
Yes. You've actually went far. So as long
Then
as
when I did getting it, they told me command not found in full stack.
When you did git init, they told you command not found. It means you're not able to use Git. Can you type in Git version and you see if you're able to print it? Or Git minus B?
Git minus
Git minus B. So we usually call this.
V.
So what did you get? They tell you the command is not recognized.
Or what I'm thinking is maybe you can proceed, and maybe you can share the recording later. Then I can revisit it again and see where some errors I missed up somewhere.
That's perfect. So I'll actually share the recording, and since we have exceeded our time to 15 minutes, and I have another meeting in around 5 minutes. So let's just complete at least 2 other more commands. So for those who manage to actually initialize their Git repository, now try to create a file. So in your VS Code, here you can see some icons. The first icon, it's a file. The second one, it's a new folder. This one is just for refreshing. There are some computer, when you create a folder or a file, it doesn't just reflect automatically. But if your computer doesn't have any problem, it will actually reflect. But if you're overusing it, it means it will take some time, you need to refresh. So let's create a file by just clicking here. This file is going to be readme in capital letter dot md in small letters. So this extension is just for text. Well, let's not even complicate. Let's just do text. Let's just keep it as readme.md. It's simple. MD, it's markdown, or it's just any text. If you want, you can even do readme.txt. TXT, you can write in any text. It's an extension like the way we have .doc for Microsoft Word, .xls for Excel, I think, .pdf for PDF files, something like that. So now if you just do this, you will notice something change within your codes. Something green, it depends on the theme you're using in your VS Code. Right now, for you guys, you're using the default themes. You can change them later on, but you will notice some change. And if you come to your terminal and write in git status, you will notice that they are telling you something. They will tell you no commits yet, but they will tell you untracked files. The untracked files they will be talking about, it's the readme.txt now. So it is untracked because you haven't added it to the track area. What does the track area means? It means this is an area whereby your files are being prepared to actually be committed, right? So it's an area, it's like a business launch. It's a waiting launch, if I would say. So this is just an area whereby your files are waiting to be saved. So before you save it, it actually gives you another stage in between to actually give you a thinking twice. If you do not want to commit it, then you remove it from the stage area. But all the files in the stage area are ready to be committed. So now how do we add the file to the stage area? We add the file to the stage area by using git add and the name of the file. The name of the file. If you start typing the first letters and then you just press tab, it will autocomplete. Can you do that, please? I hope it's working. All right, so I hope it's working. So if you now do that, you can also as well do git add space a dot. It means you're now adding everything that is in your current repository, but eventually we even have one folder. So you add your one file. We actually do this when you have more than one file. Otherwise, we need to specify the file, but it's also okay to just do this. Usually you'll be using this because you'll be having more files in your repository. So if you do git add, and again you do git status, you can see when we did git status, when this file wasn't staged, this was red. But if you do git status now, you will see it is now turning green, saying no commits yet, but telling you changes to be committed. Before it was telling you untracked files, but now it is telling you changes to be committed. So let me clean up this. Another command now, it's git commit. So git commit has a flag. I told you these things are called flag. Whenever something is with 1 hyphen or 2 hyphen, it's called a flag. So commit has a flag of -m. -m means you need to add a message. So it's git commit -m, then the message. You're like saving a file, but again, you need to say, this file I'm saving, it is of this name. So as we said, Git helps us to keep snapshots, then it will allocate this name or this message to that snapshot. Let's say, I'll just say created README file. It always has to be descriptive and very relevant. So now if I press enter, they will tell me one file changed, insertions ni zero kuko nta kintu, we don't have anything written in this file. And it has created a mode this. So which means one commit was already now done. The last command, it's git. The last command of today, it's git logs. So it's git log. So what git log does, it actually logs the commits you made. You can see we only have one commit made. But I'm waiting for the question from you guys. I know some of these commands didn't work because there is something we didn't set up. I was waiting for this. What was the error? So most of you couldn't be able to commit because you didn't configure. You did not configure your Git. So please make sure you do this. After installing, you need to configure your Git. You just do git config with a flag of global. Flag of global means you'll be configuring Git globally through your computer. If you don't put it there, you'll be configuring Git on that specific folder. And we want to do this globally so that we do not get repeated again. Because this needs to be done once. Unless if you change your computer, that is when you're going to do it again. You just did git config -- global, then user.name, you put in your name. Then git config -- global user.email, you put in your email. These are your identifications for Git. Right?
So what do you mean by identifications?
So because you understand you need to commit these changes and you will need to push them on GitHub. So everyone needs to understand or needs to know who pushed. So these are the things which actually identify the person who pushed. As you can see, when I did git log, they showed me the commit ID. They even showed me the author. It's me because I configured my name to be this. And also they even showed me the email and the dates through which you did your commit. So if you need to do this so that it can identify this, so that other people will know who pushed the codes, who worked on those codes, that is what we call collaboration. Everyone will know that Agaba worked on this because they are the ones who committed it. So please set up your configurations like this. You just need to write git config, then user.name, then your name. and then here your email. Right? So I'll send you the recording so that you can go through all of this once again. But just to remind you, we did around, let me just put it in the README. We did git init to initialize a repository, a repo. We also did git add to add to stage area, waiting to be committed. Then we also did git commit with a flag of -m, then descriptive message for your commit. Commit is like save. Then we also did git log for what? Logging the commits. The commits made. Right? So these are the things that we just did, I think. So always be careful, commit is with the double M, made. And we also did the last one of git status. Status of your project, of your git project. Mainly, these are the commands that we just did. These are the commands that we just did. So we focused on only 5. And then if you get to actually learn more, and we also actually saw this for configuring your Git. So you can go through all of this later on. I'll even give you more resources. And I really want you guys to get used to this.
Mic check.
Check.
Actually, I am curious about the -m in git commit.
Sorry?
I'm asking,
Yes.
would you please explain to us what's -m in git commit?
So the -m means a message for your commit. So if you didn't specify this description you gave to your commit won't work. So this flag actually gives you a way to give a descriptive message to your commit. So what this descriptive message to your commit means, it's a tag, it's like a tag to your snapshot. I hope it's clear, right?
And like to commit is like to add it to Git
Committing is
directly.
like saving that snapshot. Right now, the moment we just like this, let me just, you can see these dates. We already have one snapshot or one version of our code. If we do some changes and also commit again, that will be a second version of our code. And we can always go back to the first version or even come back to the last version. That is the beauty of Git. You like have a store of your history and you can always revert back to your history. I hope that is clear. So you need to actually give a commit message always. Yes, Chris?
So thanks. I have a question. I finished to commit my file, but and then after commit, I got the push that file. They asked me to add the URL of repository.
Yes. So that is for the next lesson.
So how to check the URL of repo by using command.
You can't actually check that one. You will need to create a repository on GitHub, then you copy its link so that you can link it to your local repository. So that one is for the next topic, don't worry. So I'll actually even give you resources of how you can do that. Right now, just make sure you understand these five commands. So for the push, we shall see it. For the branch, we shall see it. And as well for the merge, we shall also see it. But as well, you also need to read. And I want all of you guys to get used to reading. So this is going to be more of you reading rather than me teaching. Right? So this is how we get to learn. Trust me, when you actually read something on your own, you will always understand it more than if somebody read it for you. So I think we are
Mic
actually
check.
now 7:30. So I think we're
Mic
moving.
check.
Check. You bear with me. I have another
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay. Let me back a bit about it. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I
Mic check.
will say, let's ask these questions on WhatsApp because right now I'm leaving for another meeting.
Okay, I get it.
So, but again, I'll give you more resources to read more about it. But right now, stick to this and first understand this, and then you will learn the other commands, advanced commands later on. So, and this is the end of our session. Thank you for attending. I'll give you more resources and cheat sheets to go through all of this. I'll also send you a recording of this so that you can go through it once again and see if there is anywhere you made a mistake and you can correct it. Thanks everyone. And yes, I will actually stop recording.